All right. We are back again for another week of our holistic health program. I am the beacon of light, and as usual, I'm wearing myself. This is the January edition. Remember that at the end of every week, the winner, anybody who's going to summarize the month's topic to an extent that everybody, in fact, the audience, is happy, that one will win a set of these earrings and 10 emalangeni worth of Eswatini Mobile. Talking of Eswatini Mobile, this live was proudly sponsored by Eswatini Mobile. We are using Eswatini Mobile Internet. Today they are at Nhlangano Zamazama Complex. So if you have any questions or you want to interact with them, head there right now. Right now, 10 a.m., they are in Nhlangano at Zamazama Complex. Woohoo! Yes, let's try to show you. Hi! I'm so excited! How are you?
Good, how are you? Good to have you. I'm excited.
Wonderful. Same here. Likewise. How are you today? We appreciate.
Curtis, can you hear me?
Yes, very audible. Very audible.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome, I love it.
Thank you. Welcome to the Beacon of Light. Yes, Mr. Mandana, can you please just introduce yourself, tell us more about yourself, and also how you qualify to actually address us on managing stress. Over to you, sir.
Okay, so good morning, viewers. Firstly, let me appreciate Petsile for the good work that she's actually doing. She's phenomenal, and she's one person who is so spiritually inclined, and I like that because it is one of identity. And when I look at the work that she has actually done, when you look at the Beacon of Life, today she's actually bringing in the African touch to all of us. So big up to Petsile, and also for hosting such an impactful and very important platform where we can actually interact and actually share some few things here and there with the audience. So well done, Petsile, on that one. So yeah, like as Petsile has introduced me, my name is Nelton Mondlane. I am super excited to be here. So I actually wear many different hats. First, I am the son of God. It's a good disclaimer. I just want to make sure that I take that. I'm a son of God. I'm also a father, and I'm also a husband. Over and above that, then I am an entrepreneur, and I am also a life coach focusing on 3 areas: mindset, personal development, and spirituality. And I'm also a public speaker, meaning at times you will actually find me at events holding the mic. You will find me in different places doing trainings because I'm also a training consultant. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell, Petsile.
Love it, Mr. Mondlane. I always say that you cannot be this or that. You can be this and that and everything you want to be. Yes, Mr. Mondlane. So we understand that you are actually for this topic today. Today we're discussing managing stress and being mindful. Can you just take us through? Take your time. This is your stage. Just take your time. Take your time, educators. Sibako. Cook us. So I'm muting myself now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Petsile, for that. So first things first, before I actually talk in any platform, I always want to make clarity on these 3: the body, the soul, and the spirit, because that is actually what makes you and me. So at the core of who you are, who I am, we are the spirit, meaning we are spirit beings experiencing life in a physical body. So meaning the fact that we are actually spirit, within the spiritual aspect of us, there is what we call intuition and what we call conscience, which we normally refer to as the sixth sense. So normally, as a spiritual being or a spiritual person, it is very important to pay attention to your intuition, to your conscience, because it never lies to you. So it is very, very, very important. And then we've got the soul. So the soul, basically, it is what we give a name to it. For instance, my soul's name is Nelton. Your soul's name probably is Petile or Majahong. That name is given to your soul. That's why when you're actually passed on, they normally say in Siswati, Watiswati Sobonimde, Dalo Begatiwa, Melting Woods Agaseko Emshabe, meaning they are referring to actually what was actually housing the soul. They are referring to the soul that it has now detached itself from the body. So now the soul is actually the main target for both God and the devil, which is why you ought to make sure that you forever guard that soul. Now, the soul, when we look at the soul, the building blocks of the soul, we've got the mind, we've got emotions, and then we've got the will. And today, our focus will be on the mind or the emotion, meaning today we are speaking mostly to the soul, where there is the mind and then the emotion. So when we look at the mind is actually, I can say, your hard drive. Your mind is actually what drives you on a day-to-day basis. But within the mind, we have what we call the conscious mind, which is the active mind. That active mind only works whilst you are awake, like I am right now. Then we've got what we call the subconscious mind, which works 24 hours. So what controls one person is actually the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind, that is where a lot of programming has been done to you since birth. So from 0 to 5, whatever that you've actually been hearing, those are the things that you're actually going to repeat over and over again as you grow up, which means it is very important to watch what you hear within the ages of 0 to 5. So from 0 to 12, the only mind that is actually active is what we call the subconscious mind. So which means as you grow, the only thing that you are doing is you are just collecting, you are sucking things like a sponge. So if you are a child, you grew around where there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of vulgar, like I can name so many things. Eventually, you will actually get accustomed to that because your environment makes you, which is why it is very important to pay attention to your environment. So what drives a person is actually the subconscious mind. That is actually the mind that needs some programming, which today we're going to talk more about it, because when you talk of stress, when you talk of mindfulness, we are referring solely onto the subconscious mind, not really the active mind, because the active mind does a little into your life. What really controls or drives your life is actually the subconscious mind. And then within the soul, we've got what we call the will. So the will is actually the conviction. It is actually what makes you to say, I can. It is actually the driving force behind everything that you actually want to do. That's why we always say, watch what you say, because you become that. So if you are used to saying, I can't, then you cannot, which means you are inviting more reasons to actually support why you can't. But if you say, I can, it means that's a positive will to say, I'm going to get this thing done. Now, the third aspect of you is actually the body. The body. So what you see is actually the body. So this body responds to 5 senses that we learned about when we did our biology. One of them is actually the sense of sight, which is in many instances a culprit, which is why when you do remember that you are spiritually inclined, then you will appreciate the meaning of faith. Because what drives a person, especially somebody who is actually positive minded, is what we call faith, not sight. You walk by faith, not by sight. So many things we get deceived because we are so inclined into using sight, which is why when we look at stress, most of the time it is because of what you see. So now that I've actually unpacked that, now let us actually jump onto what we need to discuss about. So there's actually 3 parts to what I'm going to talk about today with regards to stress and management. So now the first part we're going to talk about is the techniques of mindfulness. But before we get to that, we need to appreciate what mindfulness means. So mindfulness in essence is actually bringing one's attention to the present moment. So it means it involves paying attention to your thoughts. That is actually mindfulness. So there are different techniques that we actually put in place when it comes to mindfulness. One of which is mindful breathing. Like you pay attention to your breathing, like the inhaling of the air, the exhaling of the air. You are in the present moment. You are in a place where there's some quietness, there's peace, there's no distraction, so that you can actually appreciate how you actually breathe. That is a very good exercise because it relaxes your muscles. Then it also opens your brain, and then it actually gives you some peace within you. Then the other technique that you can use for mindfulness is walking. It is advisable that at times early in the morning or late in the afternoon, you take a walk alone. Pay attention to your footsteps. Pay attention to your surroundings. I mean, get connected to the nature. Let yourself relax. After that walk, once you come back, you will feel that feeling of peace. It is very important to consider walking. And then the other technique of mindfulness is eating. Trust me, when you eat, you gotta make sure that you don't get disturbed, so that one, you can actually enjoy even the food, you can enjoy even the smell. I mean, eating gives you some kind of peace, especially when you are enjoying it. There's no disturbance, there's no you waking up or walking up and down while eating. You are sitting, you are relaxed, you are enjoying the meal in front of you. Then the fourth one is what we call meditation. So meditation, that is actually where you, for some, they actually enjoy doing meditation whilst they're actually closing their eyes in a quiet environment, and then they allow some thoughts to actually come in, especially positive thoughts. They actually start to visualize things, meaning they get into the visualization process. They actually see where they are in life, where they want to be in life. They get that feeling, they see themselves already there. It's actually a very good exercise to actually meditate. So most of the time, what we're used to doing is we are used to praying. So once you are done praying, also have some time to actually meditate. So meditation is when you actually allow God to actually respond to you or talk to you when you're actually in a state of calmness. So you need to make sure that you sit in a comfortable position. Some they prefer to actually sit on the floor, some they prefer to sit on the chair. So whatever works for you, but you gotta make sure that you're actually in a comfortable place, and then you start actually meditating. Then the fifth one that I'm going to talk about in terms of the techniques for mindfulness is what we call self-compassion, treating yourself with kindness, meaning you gotta be nice to yourself. Don't be hard into yourself. So in that way, it makes you to actually relax. Forgive yourself. Make sure you are kind to yourself. Pat yourself on the shoulder. Celebrate yourself. So those are actually ways of actually self-compassion. There are other techniques for mindfulness, but today I just wanted us to actually focus on this one. So I hope you are actually still following and you are still with me. And then now let's look into the second part that I want us to actually focus on and talk about today. It's called stress management. Okay, so when we talk of stress, stress is a normal part of life. That is that is one thing that you need to know. But it becomes a problem when it becomes overwhelming or chronic, because now it then leads to some mental challenges and some physical challenges. And if left unattended, it can then lead to so many so many things. So first, there is what we call stress, which then leads to depression. So, which means when you are stressed for 2 weeks consecutive without attending to whatever that is actually stressing you, then you fall onto depression. So, when you go to depression, there is mild depression, then there is severe depression. So, it is always important and advisable to attend to what is stressing you at the present moment. So, most of the time, stress comes as a result of not knowing what to do. That is what causes stress. So now, there are ways where you can actually manage your stress. One of them I've already talked about it, which is called meditation. Then the other one is what we call the lifestyle change. So when we talk of the lifestyle change, we're talking of you getting enough sleeping rest. I know we have been told that we need to work so hard. We are workaholics. Well, that's good. But remember, the body needs to rest. The body needs to rest. I know most of you guys, you are used to sleeping 5, 6 hours, but the body needs 8 hours to rest. And you need to try and make sure that you've got a routine sleeping method. If you sleep, say, maybe at 9, then you can actually get awake at 5. If you sleep at 10, then you can actually get awake at 6. So it's very important to actually look into the routine that actually works for you. For instance, for me, it actually varies. Most of the time, I normally use 10 to 6 p.m., but sometimes I use 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. So it actually depends on where I am and where my focus is on. Because most of the time, when I want to do personal development, I sometimes prefer to do it during the day and late at night, or I do it early in the morning. So it actually depends on how things are at that particular moment, because I'm actually a family man, so I need to make sure that I give my family some time. So I simply play around to say, okay, so what works for me this week? I'm going to do this. But I try by all means to make sure that I get enough rest so that I can actually wake up energetic, rejuvenated, and ready to actually attack. So now the other lifestyle change is exercise. So exercise does not really mean that hit the gym. Even if you can actually walk for 30 minutes, you've done enough for the day. If you can, go to the gym. But even walking, it is still exercising. even doing like self-exercising at home, you can actually do some stretches, you can actually do some press-ups, you can actually get a skipping rope and then do the jumping, or you can run. Whatever that you do, you gotta make sure that you do exercise, because when you do that, you are actually relieving some stress, because there are actually hormones that you actually release as you do the exercising and as you get to actually sweat. So for you to get more understanding, more in-depth understanding on the exercising aspect and also the lifestyle aspect, and also probably waking up as early as 5, then you can actually use what the book called 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. It's a great book that you can actually go and read. So now the last part that I'm going to talk about today is actually incorporating mindfulness in our daily lives. Your day builds a week. Your week to a month, month to a year to a decade to a century. So it matters what you do on a daily basis. The 24 hours really matter, because it is actually what shapes your life. So watch what you do on a daily basis. So what I talked about in terms of the techniques of mindfulness, the 5 that I've actually mentioned, it's actually the same even with incorporating that into your mindfulness on a daily basis. The one that I can actually add on top of those is actually what we call self-compassion. Oh, by the way, I did talk about that. So I always want to talk more about that, because everything begins with self. So yeah, basically this is what I actually wanted us to have a discussion about. Obviously, there is a lot that I can actually talk about, but obviously today I just wanted to make sure that you get to appreciate what I have. And if there is somebody that is actually on the live right now and has a question for me, I'm actually happy to answer. If not, you can always refer back to Petsile, connect with me so that I can actually assist you in the way that you want me to assist you. So yeah, that is it from me, your life coach, Mr. Nelton Mondlane. Thank you so much, Petsile. Back to you.
Wow. Wow, I'm impressed. I'm blown away. I've learned so much today. Things I didn't even know. My. I thought I was okay. I thought personally I've developed so much, but then apparently you learn until you die. So yeah, wow, love it, love it, love it. We don't have any questions, but then I'm a good asker. So yes, let's go. Okay, I loved what you said. We walk by faith, not by sight. That's amazing. In fact, that's also my logo, my what you call my slogan. Yes, I truly love it. But somebody else out there can be like, yeah, I can walk by faith, but not by sight. But what am I putting my faith on? Really, like how do I even know? For example, somebody who's never tasted bread, but they really want bread. So how would they know how to, let's use the word manifest, how to manifest that bread? How can they have faith that they will have bread when they've never even tasted it? They've never been in contact with bread. So how can somebody like that manifest something they want? Yeah, let me put it like that. That's the first.
Okay, okay, go ahead, Petsile.
Yes, that's the first question. That how can somebody who's never experienced the life they want manifest it into existence? If you say you walk by faith, not by sight. I,
Okay. Great one. We'll just take one by one so that I make sure that I don't forget what you actually asked. But yeah, you can actually go ahead and ask the next question. Let me just try to get something to note so that I make sure that I get everything. Yes, you can go ahead and ask the second question.
okay, the second question is okay, this is not a question, it's a statement that I love how you debunked the anxieties around meditation, because when you talk about meditation, everybody goes, "Ah!" evil, yoga, Hinduism, blah, 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 blah. I loved how you put it into being actually assimilated by the layman around the fact that it's not actually summoning deities or external spirits that are not blah, 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 blah. It's actually sitting with yourself, understanding who you are and what you are, mostly after even praying to God, so that you can actually listen to the, because when you're praying, you're telling God what you perceive, and then now when you're meditating, you're listening to God's perception. So I really loved how you stated that. And then about the part of eating, yes, I want to ask eating. How do I know between, because some mental and emotional professionals, they discourage stress eating. So how do I know the line that, okay, now I'm stress eating, okay, now I'm eating as a mode of mindfulness? How do I know the line there? And another drawing of lines, I'm drawing lines right now. How do I draw the line between good stress, the normal everyday stress, and threading along the lines of depression? How do I know that, okay, now I'm threading along the lines of depression, or it's still normal everyday stress? And are you keeping up, Mr. Mondlane? Are you keeping up?
Sure.
Okay, and then coming to the part of women in our society, this is very unpopular, but I'm going to ask it. So you were like, okay, self-compassion. But okay, most women out there, they're extremely busy and stressed with this part of their life, but they can't self-compassionate themselves out of their tasks, duties, responsibilities, whatever you call it. I have to cook. I have to clean. They have to go to the Massimo in Lima. They have to wash. Yeah, right. I have to get train food, right? But I'm sick today. How can I self-compensate myself out of going to a Massimo when it's compulsory in the home? How do I time? Okay, right now, somebody out there will be like, okay, my baby is so sick, but I have to cook. The baby has to eat. So how do I get you around this whole thing? How do I, right? So I opened that part. Oh yes, there's the 5 a.m. club by, because I think I need to
Robinson.
it's by the 5 a.m.
Robin Sharma.
the 5 a.m. club book is by.
Robin Sharma.
Okay, right. I think I'll contact you for the name because I can't. Yeah, I think okay. For now, can you please tackle those questions? All right. Let's track it. Shem, thank you, Mr. Nelson, for your patience. Let's track it. Can you just try to address the questions, Mr. Mondlane, and then I think we'll then wrap it. I'll wrap it up.
Let me quickly go through the questions that I've actually asked. Where are your questions? Just a second. One other thing that I've actually learned and that I always teach my mentees is patience is virtue. So we gotta get things done the way they were planned. We know as you travel, there's what we call detour. Detour doesn't mean it's the end. It means you just need to take another route, but eventually you will reach your destination. So kudos on that one and well done. I love your spirit, Katsila. Okay, so where are the questions here? Okay, there you go. So let's talk about faith first. I was saying faith without knowledge is dead. So meaning when you actually want to build on your faith, you need to become knowledgeable. So when you read the book of life in Hosea 4:6, God through the prophet says, my people perishing because of lack of knowledge. So faith is accompanied by knowledge. Without knowledge, your faith is dead. So when you go to the book of life, it's all about promises, laws, and principles. So for the promises to actually manifest in your life, you need to know what are the laws and the principles for humanity from God, the source. So once you know these two, the laws and principles, and you abide by them, meaning you allow your Maker to order your steps, then the promises will come to pass. Again, when you go to the book of life in Hebrews 11, it does state that without faith, you cannot please God. So the only way for me and you to please God is to actually have faith. And when you go to the very same chapter, it gives you a clear definition of what faith is. So in a nutshell, you've got to be knowledgeable on what to have faith on. Let me just make an example. When you say, I am happy, you need to know the building blocks of being happy so that that happiness can actually manifest. Remember, being happy is actually a feeling. Okay, so then you talked about meditation as a comment. Well, I'm not going to comment much on that one. Like you said, it wasn't a question, it was just a comment. So I'll skip and go straight to the eating aspect. You asked to get clarity on, with respect to eating, to actually manage stress. Okay. When I talk of eating, I talk of the healthy eating. I'm not talking of these eating habits that so many people normally used to say, when I'm stressed, I eat as much as I possibly can. You need to make sure that you know your body, you understand your body, you understand how much you need to give to your body, you understand what can actually become toxic to your body, and what is advisable for you to actually eat. So you eat normally. So when I talk of actually eating as one way of actually techniques of mindfulness, I mean the normal eating like that you do. All I'm saying is make sure that when you eat, you are undisturbed, so that you can actually enjoy the aroma of the food. You can actually enjoy the taste of the food. Then you can actually be relieved whilst you're actually enjoying your meal. And then we talked about the issue of health. Health and fitness is very, very key. You need to actually try to find a balance on your daily schedule, so that at the end of the day, you do incorporate the health aspect within you. So, here's the thing. There's nothing like I don't have time. Everybody is entitled to 24 hours. What matters is what do you do with each and every hour. So you make time to do things that really matter to you. How come you do have time to actually sit in front of what we call a TV for hours on end? If you can't do that, then it means you can create or make time to do things that really add unto you. And then in terms of the self-compassion, I know we are actually in different environments. We've got different responsibilities. Myself, I'm a father, I'm a husband. But before I become a father, before I become a husband, before I become an entrepreneur, before I become a life coach, I am. You see, the word I am means I'm living in God's sovereignty. So the minute I say I am, it means the first thing that comes into me before I become everything else. I am the Son of God. So me first, after God, then the rest will actually fall. Which is why it is important to make time for you and for you only. It can be 15 minutes, it can be 30 minutes, it can be an hour, whatever it is. Self-care, self-compassion, that is very important. That is why I was saying, you can choose to say, every day I wake up at 5 a.m. From 5 to 6, it's all about you. It's all about working on you. It's all about building you. Or you can say, if everyone is actually asleep, you stay awake for an hour at least, you are actually working on you. So that is your me time. Your me time is very, very important, regardless of the responsibilities that you have. Because remember, for you to perform at your best, you need to be at your best. You need to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, nobody will. At the end of the day, you must always make sure that you put yourself first after God. That is very, very key. Always make sure that your cup overflows. Feed people from your overflowing cup, not from your cup. So if you are stressed, what you're going to take out to the people is how you feel. So if you are at peace, you are at joy, then definitely you're feeling loved, then definitely what you're going to take out to the people that are around you, your spouse, your children, your community, is love. It's what you feel. So you make sure you do your best unto you to give out the best to the people. And then lastly, you talked about the 5 a.m. Club. So the 5 a.m. Club is actually a book written by Robin Sharma. A great book if you want to actually perform at the highest level before the day starts and during the day. So Robin Sharma unpacks how you can actually go about utilize your time from 5 to 6 a.m. It's a great book to read, like in your 20 minutes pockets, the first 20 minutes, second 20 minutes, third 20 minutes. Very important if you want to perform at the highest level during the day. So Petile, I hope I've answered all your questions. If you need more clarity, you can go ahead and ask me, but I think I did my best. So thank you so much. Back to you, Petile. You are not very much audible, Petile.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
Oh, so thank you so much, Mr. Mondlane. This was very, very enlightening. Thank you. We've learned a lot. Appreciate you. Yeah, I think this is perfect. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much, Petile, for having me.